Hello everyone, my name is Wendy Tribble. And today I'm going to talk to you about what MDS is and the effects of CNA charting on the MDS. Alright, number one thing, let me take this mask off, is how many of y'all, by a show of hands, know what MDS stands for? I think somebody's been Googling. Alright, so MDS stands for minimum data set. Now, you're probably asking yourself, well, what's minimum data set? Because that really doesn't explain anything. Alright, so minimum data set is a screening and assessment tool that is divided up into sections, and each section is labeled alphabetically. So, you probably want to know, well, why? Why do we have this MDS thing we have to do? Well, back in the late 70s, early 80s, there was a lot of public concern about the conditions in nursing homes. So, the 100th Congress, back in 1987, enacted the Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act of 1987. So, and according to Kelly M's article, the Ober Act of 1987, a policy analysis, the act set forth new provisions for Medicare and Medicaid sections related to new standards of care in the nursing home setting. So, healthypeople.gov describes the MDS as a standardized primary screening and assessment tool. Alright, so MDS is minimum data set, and I'm going to call it just MDS from here on out, is a multidisciplinary assessment tool. So each discipline has different sections that they fill out. So take, for instance, nursing has a set of sections they fill out. The social worker has a set of sections that they will say code, because it's actually coding. And dietary has a set, and activities has a set that they fill out. And all these sets together paint one big picture of the elder. So in all the sections, we use this big book sitting on the table right here called the Resident Assessment Instrument. This is our manual that tells us how to code the MDS. So these are all the pages we got to learn to be able to do that. Now, alright, so where does the information come from to code the MDS with? The medical record. Alright, so in the medical record includes the CNA charting. So, now I want to talk about how the CNA charting affects the MDS. Alright, as I said before, the MDS is divided into sections and is alphabetically labeled. Well, the G section of the MDS specifically covers activities of daily living. So, you're probably wondering, well, what's that got to do with me and my charting? I'm sorry. That's okay. So, those questions that pop up to you from the electronic health record, what we call the ELOs, those questions that say how much assistance somebody needs for bed mobility and how many people does it take to give that assistance. All that information that y'all are putting in the system is reviewed, and based on the instructions in the RAI manual, we code it with certain codes on the MDS. Now, the ADLs include bed mobility, transfers, walking, moving from one place to another, as we call it, locomotion, and then dressing, eating, toileting, personal hygiene, and bathing. And I know y'all are very familiar with all of that because y'all look at these questions every day that come out in the electronic health record. So, but this information is how we code the MDS. And let's say if you code a person that needs limited assistance as extensive assist, and so you're not meaning to, but it's just, you know, an accidental charting. Well, if you do that 3 or more times during the observation period used for the MDS review, then we have to code that person as extensive. So we're painting the wrong picture of the elder when that happens. So, now this information from the documentation not only is just for MDS purposes, the MDS determines the reimbursement for the facility. So they're looking, okay, this person needed extensive assist, we're going to pay them this much money for doing that. When really they only needed, you know, not as much assistance. Well, they got overpaid. So this is where our surveyors come in. And the first thing they're going to grab is that MDS and say, oh, this person needs this assistance. This is what's going on to them, with them. So they're going to go down and observe them and say, well, this one's up walking around the room, but yet this MDS says, you know, they needed extensive assist. So that's going to cause them to further dig into everything and look at people, you know, more closely. So that's one of the things it's used for. And like I said, determines reimbursement. It also drives the plan of care somewhat. Like the things you chart, we look at to see how much assistance we need to give, and people who assist the person in the future have that information to know what to give them. Like you see, we have that thing that pops out in the electronic health record, so you'll know how much assistance to give to transfer somebody, and for bed mobility, and for bathing. So all that kind of comes from there. It also comes from other assessments in the facility. So, on conclusion, I hope y'all now have an idea of how the MDS is affected by CNA charting, and y'all know now what MDS stands for. So now my question to you is, just think about what ways you can improve your charting. And that's my conclusion. I hope y'all were able to use that information. Thank you.